Do you want to start?
Oh, are we recording? Okay.
Yeah, I just hit record. You're good.
I said I was born ready, and then silence. Silence for me is a rarity, but that's how I'm feeling these days. We're back, baby. Hello, and welcome back to season 3 of Talking in Spirals, which I don't know if I remember how to do this, so let's give it a shot. It feels as though the world has ended and started up again about 12 times since we finished out season 2. But we're back and better than ever.
Our last episode was mid-November.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
It was right after the election.
That's actually crazy. I cannot believe that it's been only 2 months, but that it's also felt like 2 years.
A lot has happened. So we're back. It is January 2025.
Whoa.
And for those of you who are listening for the first time, my name is Brennan.
And I'm Maria.
And we're both eco-focused content creators who care about preaching the message of slow living and sustainability and all of your favorite things. So we're back here with our 3rd season of this podcast where we do talk in spirals about all of those subjects and more. And the goal for the podcast is for it to talk about the things that matter while also feeling like a casual, fun conversation with friends. So hopefully we achieve that goal. Let's see.
Before we get into that, though, we definitely should thank our sponsor of this week's episode, which is W&P.
We love W&P so much on this podcast. We are big bona fide fans. If you are watching this, you probably see some W&P things behind me in my house because I use their stuff every single day. For those of you who don't know, W&P is a company that's focused on making beautiful reusables for your kitchen to help you reduce food waste and single-use plastic use. And the best part of their stuff is that it is gorgeously designed. So they have everything from reusable plastic bags that are made out of silicone to freezer cups that are designed to help you freeze your leftovers and eat them at a later date. They have reusable water bottles, reusable mugs, reusable everything, and it's all just objectively very beautiful. And I feel that when your reusables are cute, you reach for them more. So they're great for that.
I completely agree. And I did just see on their website today that their sold out freezer cubes are back.
They're back. I love the freezer cubes and I love the cup cubes. I am a huge fan of the silicone bags. Those are my favorite ones. I've tried a lot of different brands. They have all different shapes and sizes, and I use them for just about everything. And they're dishwasher safe. So, highly recommend picking a few of those up. And we do have a discount code for you to help you out in that department.
The discount code is Spirals15, and I'll make sure to have all of that information for you in the show notes along with a link to their website.
So thank you, W&P, and let's get into the episode. Crushed it.
My brain is not functioning. I know it always takes us a little while to get back into it, but because we haven't recorded in like 3 months now, my brain is just...
Also, I'm very cognizant with the fact that we're on camera.
I know.
And we're going to use the video. So I'm like, am I making weird faces? Like, for sure, yeah.
Well, like, not everything will be on video, so we should be okay.
But it's just, I'm not used to, like, obviously seeing myself having a conversation for hours on end. And, like, it's like, wow, what an idiot. Okay.
So if you're new to listening to Talking in Spirals, one of our favorite things is talking about our current hyperfixations, because both Brennan and I, when we like something, we tend to go hard.
It's definitely one of the traits that we share.
Yes, it definitely is. And it turns out that every 2 weeks we have a different hyperfixation, because that's just who we are.
Broken in the brain.
So, Brennan, what is your hyperfixation? And this can be anything from our last episode, which was in mid-November, till now.
Well, that's very overwhelming because there's a lot going on at the moment. So we figured we would just keep this one light and talk about some food hyperfixations that we both have, since we're both very fixated on food at all times.
True.
Currently, my food hyperfixation is a nighttime mug cake.
Ooh.
Yeah, I make it every single night, and I'm going to share the recipe with you here. So you don't have to. I know recipe in podcast form is weird, so I will share this on Instagram as well.
Hold on, let me get a pen.
Every night at around 8 p.m. or 8:30, I get a hankering for this mug cake. Of course, I saw it on TikTok. We love TikTok.
Please stay TikTok.
Please stay around. I need my mug cake recipes. So it's 3 tablespoons of oat flour, which I've been just subbing it for all purpose lately, but I guess oat flour, is like it's supposed to be like a healthy dessert, but you know, I just do whatever flour. 2 tablespoons of protein powder. I've been doing chocolate, plant-based protein, because it's a chocolate mug cake.
Ooh.
1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar. I do brown sugar. And then a little pinch of salt and a pinch of baking powder. So I just mix up all the dry stuff in the mug. And again, this takes like 30 seconds. I'm exaggerating, it takes like probably 2 minutes. And then I throw in 2 tablespoons of dark chocolate chips, a sprinkle, little splash of vanilla, and then a quarter cup of plant milk and a tablespoon of peanut butter. And I mix it all up in the mug and then I microwave it for 90 seconds. And it is a perfect little chocolate cake in a mug. It's so nice with the peanut butter swirled in. It's nice and warm. I love it so much. So, in a world where there's lots of scary, sad things happening, I know that I can look forward to eating cake in a mug every night. So, highly recommend finding a little pocket of peace like that for yourself.
I love that. And I will make sure to have that recipe in the show notes so you can make a mug cake too and feel happy.
I love that for us. So, what is your food hyperfixation at the moment, Maria? Because I know you have one. You always have one.
I always have one. And for the first time ever, it's not sourdough related. I have been really loving red bell peppers. Like we eat them in almost everything. And recently I've been just cutting one in half and putting a layer of cream cheese on the inside and then sprinkling homemade everything seasoning in it. It is amazing. It's the best morning snack because usually we're up at 6, so we eat breakfast really early, and then I can't wait till noon for lunch. So I always need like a mid-morning snack around like 10, and that's been my mid-morning snack, and it's amazing.
That sounds so good. I will for sure be trying that. Honestly, everything bagel seasoning should be on everything.
It really should be. I have a label for it if you need it.
It is so good. I know you do. It actually makes everything taste amazing. That's why it's called everything seasoning, right?
Yeah, it's great. You can use it on anything.
Anything seasoning. It's so good. I definitely need to try that. I am trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables as a snack throughout the day. And honestly, my favorite is just like a good old fashioned apple with peanut butter. I've been eating it for breakfast a lot of days lately. Just,
Mhm.
I have an apple cutter that, like you just push down on it and it just
Nice.
perfectly slices an apple. And then I just dip it in some peanut butter. Sometimes, if I'm feeling a little
Quick and easy.
saucy, I'll mix some seeds into the peanut butter. So I'll do chia, flax, hemp, mix them in. So it's almost like a smoothie without having to make any dishes dirty because I'm getting all my seeds in. Yeah, that's nice. A little cinnamon.
Nice.
In one of my meal plans, I took peanut butter and mixed it with protein powder and seeds, and that was my little apple dip. So it's a good idea.
That sounds really good.
No, it is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool concept. I'm a genius.
Speaking of meal plans, what might have you been up to over the last month?
That was really slick. I have a new meal plan out, friends. If you are new here, I make these budget meal plans. I think this is my fifth one. I don't know. I should probably know that. These budget meal plans where I create an entire week's worth of meals, snacks, desserts for usually for two people. This one's for two people. One of my meal plans was for a single person household, but it's a budget plan. They're usually high protein, whole foods, plant based, or vegetarian. And they include an itemized grocery list from a specific grocery store. I've done one for Trader Joe's, I've done one for Walmart. This one's Walmart, just so that we have that consistency in pricing. And they're available for free on my website with all of the recipes and the itemized grocery list and everything. So if you'd like to access that, it is available for free on my website right now. And it will be for a very long time, as well as all the other meal plans. So we're going to talk today about New Year's things, I guess, and just kind of goals and starting fresh. So, if one of your goals for the new year is budgeting or eating healthier or planning ahead or prepping, then definitely check out the meal plan. That's what it's there for. I want to help people out. So,
I'm a huge fan of your meal plans. We've used a couple of them before. I haven't been able to shop at all the same stores that you do, but I just get it from my local Wegmans and it's still pretty inexpensive. But I love that you also go through your meals like video by video and go through like each meal and make them. What was the one that you made in like a tart pan like a giant cookie.
Oh, the big
Oh, so
cookie.
good.
Did you make that?
I did.
Wait, that's so awesome. I didn't know you made that. Yeah, that is by far my most requested like recipe. It's so easy and it's so good and it's like surprisingly pretty healthy. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's the chickpea cookie. I just call it the big cookie cuz that's like what my friends call it, but it's made of chickpeas, but I don't think you'd know, honestly. It's pretty they're hidden.
No, you can't tell at all.
It's essentially just blending up a can of chickpeas with peanut butter, some agave, maple syrup or honey, and then baking powder. Just blend it all up, add some chocolate chips, and then bake it in a tart pan. You could do it in any pan, but I like the tart pan. But it's just a giant cookie and it's high fiber, has some protein. It's really good. So that's in one of the meal plans. The recipe for the dessert in this meal plan, which clocks in at $85 worth of groceries for a week, the dessert is a protein fudgy brownie. So those are really good.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty simple. With my recipes, I really tend to focus on super simple ingredients that are really cheap. Obviously, by default, they have to be cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that recipe, everything is out. You can access it on my site if you would like to. Shameless self promo here.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Maria, what have you been working on that we should know about?
So on December 1st, I launched 6 new labels for my pantry label pack. They are pumpkin pie spice, apple pie spice, cream of soup mix, a bread dipping oil, a spicy salt, and then a pickle salt mix. So I added 6 new labels and you can buy them just separately as the 6-pack. And I'm super excited about them. I used the baking mixes so much in December. My husband's a big fan of the spicy salt.
Ooh, that sounds so good. I would be definitely a big fan of the spicy salt. So for anyone who doesn't know, Maria is like a homemaking queen, but she's not a trad wife, okay? So don't ask. And she makes these labels. It's actually just genius. The concept of these labels.
Thank you.
No, they're so smart. I have mine. I need to get some containers and start using them more because you know what I need to make is a mug cake mix so that I
Ooh,
don't have to mix it all the time. I was thinking about you last night when I was making my mug cake.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll send you the recipe and you can add it to your labels if you want because it's really good.
Nice.
But basically the labels she makes, I mean, explain it to the people.
So when I explain it, I like to give an example. So I use a half-gallon mason jar and I add dry ingredients to it. So like flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder or whatever the recipe calls for. And then when you go to make a pancake mix or a waffle mix, then you just add the wet ingredients the day of. So milk, eggs, whatever you want to substitute for.
It's just like a dry mix you would buy from the store, except you're making it yourself.
Yeah.
And it's actually so easy and you save so much money.
Yeah, and the label on top has the recipe to refill the mason jar, so like the half-gallon mason jar. And then it also has the recipe for what you need to make the item, and then any sort of baking instructions. I don't include like step-by-step instructions. There's just not room on a label. So I usually just include the order of when you're supposed to add the ingredients, and then simple baking instructions like bake at 350 for 20 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes, whatever it ends up being. So they're waterproof, dishwasher safe labels. So you can add it to the lid of your mason jar. They're made for mason jars and then run it through the dishwasher.
It's genius. It's such a simple concept, and yet I don't see other people creating anything like it. She really is so good at cornering her little market and being like, this is what you need to do to make your life easier. So,
Thank you.
new labels out, very exciting. I think that covers everything in our little updates corner.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of pivoted from the hyperfixations to work updates generally. Also, at the time of this episode coming out, I will be maybe a week or two out from launching a product that I've been really excited about.
Ooh.
And I haven't talked about it at all. So hopefully we're on track by the time this episode comes out to be releasing it soon. It's definitely going to come out mid-February, but it's basically going to be like an all-encompassing guide to budget meal planning on your own. So it's going to be like a large resource. We're going to have it available in Notion. For those of you who don't use Notion, definitely use Notion. Also, we're going to have it available as a PDF. So
Ooh.
whatever floats your boat, and that should be available very soon.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So I'll keep you updated on that front as we continue.
So today we're talking all about our new year goals, our resolutions, what we want to do this year, how we want to continue living slowly, and just kind of our general goals for the year.
Yeah, and also for the record, this doesn't need to be specific to New Year's. Like I recognize this is coming out later, you know, pretty far off from New Year's, but this doesn't have to be specific to New Year's resolutions or anything like that. You can always make changes at any point in the year. You can always make resolutions and you can always, you know, none of these things are specific to a quote unquote new year. You can want to make changes and resolutions for your life and improving your life at any point in time, whether that's like a birthday or just like you wake up one day and think, okay, time to make some changes. Those
Mhm.
changes don't have to happen in January. You can do them at any time.
I actually saw the best advice online on a Peloton ad that was coming up on my TikTok For You page.
They got you.
And the advice was that instead of setting like a ton of New Year's resolutions on the 1st of January, is to try to set or implement like a life change on the 1st of every month. So instead of like maybe the winter time is a really bad time to exercise for you because it's freezing outside, there's an Arctic freeze. So instead of starting it in January, why don't you set it for March 1st or whatnot? So like that's the approach I'm taking this year. I have a ton of goals and things I want to change in my life this year, but I'm working on them a little bit at a time instead of starting all of them on the 1st and then inevitably giving up by the 15th.
I love that idea. So,
And it came from a Peloton ad.
wow, their marketing guy needs a raise. Or a girl. It's probably a woman, let's be real. So I think a good start to this, and I just thought of this now, would maybe be us going over some quote unquote resolutions or changes that we made in the last year that stuck. Because that's always really nice to reflect on and think, wow, what changes did we actually make that really worked out? Because a lot of people will make New Year's resolutions and then by February it's all over. So I want to talk to some of the things that we changed in our lives that actually effectively made change for us. We started our podcast 1 year ago, which is insane. And we spoke to some of our resolutions, I believe. So I'm curious which ones of them stuck, or just things that we spoke about throughout the year, like, oh, we're doing this, and like what things actually worked for us. You probably have like 30 because you're so good.
I'm trying to just like I don't remember. Like my brain is so focused on 2025 now that like I can't even think about what I did last year.
I think the Aura Ring really changed things for you. You started like walking, and
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. So for me, I got an Aura Ring at the end of 2023. So I've been using that for a year, and I really, for the first time in my life, started focusing on fitness. If you guys have been here for a while, you've heard this a million times. I'm so sorry to keep talking about working out. I never thought I would be this person, but apparently I am. But I started using ClassPass and I started working out 3 to 5 times a week, usually like 4 or 5, but depends on, how the week is going. And I've stuck with it. It's completely changed my entire life. So
Oura Ring is incredible.
highly recommend. That's been amazing. The Aura Ring is a really big game changer. It's changed so much in the way that I focus on my sleep, my recovery, my workouts, all of the
I
above.
can definitely piggyback on that one. Got the Oura Ring because Brennan would not shut up about it, and I really loved it.
Still won't.
And
That tracks.
definitely not really for exercising for me because I did start going on a lot more walks with my dog last summer, but when it gets cold out, like it's hard to take a dog, especially when people don't use pet-friendly salt.
Oh wow.
So, I'm not really walking that much now. We just exercise her indoors.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but that's an insane concept to
Oh,
me.
like pet-friendly salt?
Pet friendly
Yeah.
salt? I've never heard of this in my life. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, like, the salt helps melt the ice
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
on, like,
Yeah, yeah, I know
sidewalks and
that.
stuff,
I just
but
it's like
the
you're talking to a
same
baby. For those of you who don't know, I live in Florida. Maria lives in Buffalo, New York. So, like, complete opposite climates. I've never heard the term pet friendly salt, and my brain just exploded. I'm sorry.
So, I don't know what it is, but the chemicals in snow salt also basically, like, start to disintegrate dog paws. So, you have to put that's why you see, like, dogs in the winter with booties on.
Oh, I just
So
thought that was for the snow.
and it can cause, like, burns and stuff like that.
That's
So,
insane.
we just don't typically walk Pepper. My husband will put on his snow jacket and take her outside sometimes and play Frisbee, or we just exercise her indoors. We've been really leaning toward, like,
Wow.
lick mats and lick bowls because that's exhausting for her. But anyways, so
Sorry. I just I needed to
Tangent.
I needed to know what that was. Okay.
So they make pet-friendly salt made of different chemicals that still melts the ice, but then is safe for dog paws. So we use that because we still take Pepper out with us when we go places or go to see my parents. Anyways, Oura Ring.
Sorry.
I've been my goal last year was to improve sleep. So when I started tracking my sleep for Oura Ring, I've been a lot more conscientious of how much sleep I'm actually getting and
Exactly.
how long it takes me to fall asleep at night, how many times I wake up in the middle of the night. So while you've been using Aura for exercising, I've been starting to use it more for sleeping. And that was my goal last year.
Well, I honestly bought it for the sleep. Like I really did. And I think that's the biggest reason that I encourage people to get it is because you can't improve something you have no data
Yeah.
for, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like, how do you know what kind of quality sleep you're getting
You don't.
if you don't? Yeah. So, like, I had no idea of any of that until I had the ability to track things like, oh, my
Yeah.
resting heart rate goes down significantly at night when I have worked out that day,
Hmm. Yeah.
things like that. Like, I obviously would have never had access to that information had it
Yep.
not been for the ring. And you don't need the ring, and you don't need to do any of this. Okay, this we're just talking about things that worked for us.
Yeah.
Like, you can very much be healthy without all this expensive shit.
I love the data the ring gives you, though. It's great.
I love it too. Some people don't like that data and it like stresses them
Fair.
out. I really like
Yeah.
it. So, and it's improved a lot of things in my life. Like, I've stopped, not that I ever was drinking a lot, but it really does make you conscientious of
Yeah.
drinking because it shows you the impacts of alcohol in your body. It's pretty astounding. And I've talked about this before, but like, I would have 2 drinks and the Aura Ring would know. It would be like your heart rate never stabilized.
I know it asks, were you drinking?
And it's so crazy to me because it shows you like the hard data. Essentially, we're all reading studies these days about how terrible alcohol is and how it's literally poison and it's killing all of us. And, you know, everything in moderation, right? But at the same time, it's pretty astounding to see like the hard data reflected within your own body after like 2 drinks. Like for me, it's like not even like, oh, I really went wild last night. Like I don't really do that. But
Yeah.
um it's insane. So that really helped me kind of cut back on my drinking. Not that I ever was drinking much, but now I'm like, oh well, I'm going to pay for it if I have like.
I always feel a bit of shame then the next morning when Aura Ring says, were you drinking last night?
Yeah, if that's going to be an issue for you, the shame, then don't get it because
I'm just like, yep, I was. Because I'm like you, I don't drink that much anyways.
well, right. And I think also it probably affects us more for that reason
Yes,
because we don't
exactly.
drink that much. But, I try not to be a purist in any regard, so I do like to have a drink or two when I'm like at a show or something. I'm not because
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with alcohol, so I'm like, there's no reason not to. But it is pretty astounding to see the next day.
And like I always knew alcohol was bad for your body, but like seeing the actual data is crazy.
Yes, it's alarming. So that's really helped me, reduce my drinking. Not that it was like a problem, but I've noticed this year I've really now I'll just go out and not drink or have one beer or something, whereas previously I would maybe have a couple more. Not that yeah, it's a sticky topic, but there's nothing to be ashamed of if you
Yeah.
go out and have a couple drinks. Nothing wrong with that if you don't have an issue. And that was a change that I made. And the working out thing was a change that I made. And also something is taking my vitamins every day.
Ooh.
I put my vitamins in a little box. All of the bottles of the different supplements I take, I put them in a little box in my kitchen. So as I'm making my coffee, I just put them all in a little bowl for the day and then I move it over to my computer and I'll just like take them. I never really had like a consistent vitamin thing going until this year. So that was a little change that I made that I think it's good. I got my blood tested and looks like I'm doing good. So
Nice.
that's nice. So I feel healthier than in years prior and I feel
That's important.
I've been good at like implementing more protein into my diet, which is good because that's something I never did. And someone who doesn't eat meat kind of just have to be a little bit more conscientious about it now that I work out. So that was a change I made that was good. That's pretty much it. I think, I have more, but in terms of like small changes that really worked for me, that's a handful right there.
For me, I just went through and looked at our positive life changes, like list of stuff that we talked about on the episode.
We did an episode about this.
It's called Level Up Your Life, and it was September 20th, 2024, and we talked all about it for 58 minutes. So if you want to go listen to that if you need any ideas. That was great. The one thing that really helped me last year was setting a routine, because being self-employed, it's so hard to have a routine when you don't have to like leave your house and go to an office. So I started setting up a routine last year and I'm building on it for this year. Just having a routine has been really
Yeah,
helpful.
for sure. And routine doesn't have to mean like I see these TikToks from these girls that like their entire life is mapped out to the second. Like it doesn't have to be like that.
Hey, just at me next time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am calling you out right now.
I thrive with time blocking. I thrive on time blocking.
And that's awesome, but you're superhuman and a lot of people aren't on that level, such as myself. Like I need some chaos a little bit. I need to like have some freedom in my day. So if that's not for you, little routine, like Maria's saying, setting a routine, you can do little things to set a routine. Like that can mean like waking up, making coffee, sitting for a few minutes with your coffee. Like it doesn't have to mean, super structured everything.
Every minute planned out,
Yeah,
yeah.
like you can just implement some new routines in.
I recognize I'm type A, and then I'm kind of crazy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit today, I think. Maria told me that she thought I was type B today. And I was like, that's wild. Because everyone in my life thinks I'm insane type A, but they probably could not they probably couldn't handle you. They'd be like, "Wow,
I think I'm just so, like, hyper type A when it comes
you
to
really are."
scheduling and, like,
Yeah.
mapping out my time and, like, following a written to-do list. I consider myself a hyper type A,
You really are.
at least in that
But I mean,
sense.
it's crazy. We can see the benefits of it,
Mhm.
like she's a lot more successful than me in almost every regard, and it's probably for that
I
reason.
wouldn't say that.
No, it's okay. I'm stoked on it. She crushes everything she tries, and it's because she's on top of it. Versus me, apparently type B by her standards, which is so funny.
Are you offended that I called you type B?
I'm not offended. I actually love it because I think a lot of people think I'm insane type A. A lot of people in my life are like, "Oh my god, Brennan's crazy." So
So I think you should clip this part of the podcast and just have it on your phone ready to play, being like, "Maria says I'm type B."
Maria says I'm type B. Every surfer in my life that I hang out with is like, "Oh my god, she's so structured." So
How do you set your goals? Do you have like one main goal for the year? Do you have a bunch of little goals? Talk me through what do you want your 2025 to look like?
honestly, I thought about this a lot, and I think I'm going to take a different approach to this.
Interesting.
And it might prove to you that I am potentially type B. But I spent a lot of time last year trying to quote unquote get my life together and like do all of these big goals. And I saw a lot of positive stuff come from that. But at the same time, my focus for this year is kind of taking a step back. I'm turning 30
Scary.
this year in a couple months, which is horrifying, but also like I'm really excited
Yeah.
to kind of take everything that I've learned in my 20s and step into a new decade. Talk about a fresh start. Um and I was feeling really anxious about it and just having not met all these nebulous life markers that I should have or, quote unquote should have reached by now. And then I started thinking about it a little bit more intuitively and realized I'm doing really well in a lot of ways that I wasn't 5 years ago. And I'm just really happy with the progress and really proud of the changes. I want to focus more on lighthearted fun this year. And that was my goal. I'm really, really hard on myself. I think it's one of my biggest flaws. So, some changes that I've made, I was doing really intense therapy for like 2 years, and I'm not anymore. My therapist went on maternity leave, and I just kind of I didn't go back after she had her baby, and I might not go back for a little bit because my focus right now is just enjoying the work that I've done, if that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely a time for quote unquote doing the work and constantly improving and being the best version of yourself, and then there's a time for having a silly goofy time
Yeah.
and enjoying and just not taking everything too seriously. And I think that's one of my biggest character flaws. Depends on how you look at it, but some people don't think it's a flaw at all. Some people that are very serious, but I want to be fun and have a good time and kind of take it on the chin and not be so intense all the time. And so one of my goals is being silly and having fun and literally not taking everything so seriously. So I know that's probably an untraditional one, but I've worked on a lot of the serious stuff over the past couple of years, and this year I want to have a good time. And I think it's a pretty big accomplishment. I tried to reframe it in my mind as an accomplishment that I'm going to be 30 and I am still having a lot of silly fun versus people at a certain age think they need to all of a sudden get really serious and
Yeah.
check all these boxes of where you're supposed to be. I'm really trying to get away from that concept and just be like, wow, I'm 30, I'm financially stable, and I'm having a lot of fun. So,
I love that.
yeah.
I've heard the 30s are the best time of your life.
I've heard that quite a bit, so I will let you know how it feels. So far, it's feeling pretty good. I think with every year that I get older, I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm not interested in being 22,
No.
you know?
27, I think, was the first birthday where I actually no longer felt like a young adult, like young kid. I mean, I'm 20, turning 28 this year, so technically I'm still kind of young adult, but I didn't start feeling like an actual full adult until 27.
Yeah, I mean, that is like scientifically when they say your brain is like more developed, so that would make sense,
You're developed.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about these milestones that we kind of societally place on ourselves and others and how oftentimes they hurt more than they help because when I look around and compare myself, I've taken a very untraditional path in my life. When I look around at the other people, that I like went to high school with that are,
Yeah.
on their third kid and bought a house in our hometown, and it's just a little bit jarring. It's like, whoa, okay, we're in a very different place, but at the same time I'm having a lot of fun and I work for myself, and I think that's really the ultimate goal that I had for myself when I was younger.
To not work for a mega corporation.
Right, and just to have freedom and to do the things that make me happy. I travel a lot. I live a very full life. I have an incredibly strong community, even though I'm not like married with kids. I have a very strong community that I think a lot of people who are married with kids don't have.
Yeah.
So that is an accomplishment, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm trying to refocus on that versus the comparison that I think a lot of us feel at this age.
Mhm.
So, I don't own a house, but I do have fun.
That is honestly more important.
Right. Anyways, yeah, so that's kind of like an untraditional approach to goals for the year, but my goals for this year are, hey, you've worked really hard on a lot of things. Now it's time to stop taking yourself so seriously and dance more and be stupid.
I love that. Have you done anything? I know it's pretty early into the year, but have you done anything that leads into that and that, like, fully encompasses that yet? Like, any fun trips or anything?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, yes. I have like maybe 10 different shows. I love live music, so I have maybe 10 shows that we're going to go
Ooh.
to in the next couple of months with our friend group and
Yeah.
going camping I think 3 or 4 times next month, so that'll be fun. Things like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So just really trying to focus on just all the fullness and the goodness in my life rather than the lack, and I think that's something that we can all try and do, especially when there's so much darkness surrounding us. So,
Yeah.
got to focus on the good. So that's where I'm at right now.
Protect your peace.
Yeah, I'm really trying to protect my peace. Well, and that's hard doing what we do because we want to talk about the important stuff. It's a fine line,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So, what about you? What are some goals that you have for the year? I mean, I do have more structured goals as well. I just that was the main
Yeah.
overarching goal.
Well, along the same topic, my main overarching goal is to start voting with my dollar more and practice what I preach online because for the last 2, 3 years online, I've been saying, like, you should vote with your dollar, don't support corporations. But yeah, I've still like had orders from Amazon and shopped at places that I don't necessarily align with value wise. So, my main overarching goal is to start voting with my dollar. And that challenge started January 20th because I'm petty. January 20th at noon. Um
Cultural significance to that date will go unnamed.
So my main goal is to really just practice what I preach. It's kind of like a mix between Project Pan, an underconsumption challenge, a no buy year slash low buy year, but I'm also being a bit less strict about it. So typically with a no buy year, you don't buy anything. You're not thrifting, you're not buying anything that is not essential. So I do have goals like that. Like I'm not buying any new tech, I'm not buying any skincare, makeup, toiletries, clothes, craft supplies, nothing new unless it's absolutely essential. And then the way I'm getting around that and still kind of like feeding my consumerism in a way is that I have a list of things that I'm allowed to thrift, no limit. So I'll be thrifting a lot of physical media because one of the things that I did this year was canceling my streaming services because I'm tired of prices doubling and tripling and losing streaming sharing and content just disappearing. So I can thrift physical media, I can thrift glass jars for canning, I can thrift holiday decor because thrift stores have the best holiday decor and at the most random times during the year. And then I'm thrifting natural clothes, so anything that's cotton, linen, wool, cashmere, and then like home products as needed. So I'm allowing myself to still go thrifting and I'm not counting that negatively against me, but I'm also not over consuming thrifting. I'm getting stuff that I actually need or wanted. And then I have a list of exceptions, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to vote with my dollar because I'm tired of the world.
I am really impressed with the ways that you've done that so far. And for the record, we both already do that to an extent, but because she's a structured queen, she has created an entire system to kind of keep
Mhm.
any slip ups from happening. And on that topic, I'm doing no buy January at the moment. At the time this episode comes out, we'll be wrapping that up. But I've been sharing about that a lot online, and Maria's done a no buy year.
Mhm. Which ended up being like a low buy year because I was not very good at it, but that's okay.
But a low buy year is still so
It's
much
still
lower in
better.
consumption than the average American.
Yes, and that was the goal.
So,
And to be honest, like one of my main focuses behind doing this is to pay off student loans because I don't know what's happening to the save plan this year and I really just don't want to have my loans anymore.
yeah, it's also just really nice to not have debt.
Yeah, and we don't have any consumer debt. Our only debt is our mortgage and our student loans. So if we can cut out student loans, then when we go to move, it'll be 10 times easier.
The
So,
less debt, the better,
yeah.
obviously. Paying off debt is a really, really awesome New Year's resolution because you can still, you don't have to make any like serious changes to your
Mhm.
habits apart from your consumerism to reduce your spending. And also, who doesn't want to reduce their debt, right? If
True.
you do have debt, I think just kind of reducing your overall spend, I guess your consumerism, right? That's important because for me, I am okay with spending a little bit of money on experiences that fill my life, make my life more full and beautiful and fun to experience. But spending money on a bunch of stuff, this will come as a shock to literally nobody. We're not a fan of that. So,
No.
doing a no buy month, a no buy week, a no buy year, just tracking our spending, tracking our consumerism, our consumption of physical items is a huge, huge improvement. So,
Yeah.
that's something we're both focusing on this
And
year.
if this is something that you're interested in more of for paying off debt, the resource that I found to be incredible is a creator called Beckonomics 101.
Ooh, I'm going to
Her name's
follow.
Becca. She paid off her mortgage, which was $120,000 a year in like or which was $120,000 in like a year. She has a spreadsheet that you can use to track all of your income, your expenses. I've just loved her content so much. So while neither of us really talk about paying off debt, if you're looking for those resources, they're out there. And honestly, just go follow people who are paying off their debt. It will be very inspiring. She's great.
I just followed her. Amazing. If you're looking for some more financial people to follow, I'm a big fan of this account called First Gen Living.
Oh, yeah.
Do you follow
I
her?
think so. I follow her on a platform.
Her name is Maria, and she's like a personal finance for first generation Americans. She talks a lot about that, but I mean, it could be useful for anyone. And of course, just like with
Yeah.
anything, if you focus too much on this, it becomes scary and not fun. But if you can implement some small things into your day to day life, it can really help you save and also just reduce your waste and your consumption. So I've created content about no buy months that I've done in the past. I did no buy May last year, and I believe we did an episode touching on that. But since I'm doing no by January at the moment, I thought I could just go over some of the rules. And if anybody is looking to reduce their consumption and their spending, they could maybe be helpful. And Maria can chime in because she did an entire no buy year.
And before we start, you do not need to take every single rule that we have and
No,
do it. Pick and choose what works best for
you
you.
can make your own rules.
Or start slow, like the
Yes,
first month, decide you're not going to get coffee, and then the second month add another rule and continuing just building onto it. So you don't have to do all of this at once because it will be very overwhelming and then you'll not want to do
exactly. And again, if you're maybe not type A, start
it.
very small and make small
Yes.
shifts and notice the change. I think the buying coffee one is a huge start because for me, I don't buy coffee out that often, but when I go to the farmer's market on Saturdays,
It's a little
of
treat.
course I'm going to buy a coffee. That's my little treat. Right. So I stopped doing that. But yeah, I'll just read these and you guys can decide if this is something you want to implement. You can also just take one and implement it. Because a lot of people buy coffee out multiple times per
I
day.
can't.
And that really adds up, you
Yeah.
know? And I want to preface this with this is not meant to take the joy out of your life. So if that is like your thing that makes your life really fun and exciting and you love it, then don't get rid of it. It's not meant to limit you and make your life hell and make you feel miserable. You're supposed to still be having fun. It's a little challenge to kind of reframe the way you look at your consumerism and your spending. And you get to decide what works for you. So, my rules: no clothing, shoes, accessories. So I'm not buying any new clothes or anything. In fact, I did a massive closet clean out and shared the whole process online. If anyone is interested, I have a guide to sustainably cleaning out your closet and, getting rid of clothes in an eco friendly way. That's available on my website for free. Another shameless self promo. No personal care products unless absolutely necessary. So we touched on this earlier in this episode, but Project Pan is kind of
I love
blowing
Project
up right now.
Pan.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't heard of it, this is kind of just how I've always lived my life. I didn't know there was like a name for it, but
Yeah.
tell the people about Project Pan.
I have been seeing Project Pan everywhere online. Project Pan is basically using what you have until you hit pan, which is like the bottom of an item.
We're talking
So
about personal care products.
finish
Yeah.
that tub of lotion. Yes. You can also do with other things like candles, but instead of holding on to 10 bottles of lotion and just continuously buying more, you should work your way through those lotions before you buy more. So Project Pan is basically just using what you have until you hit pan, which was the bottom of a product.
And again, for some of you, this is not a revolutionary concept at all. Like Maria and I have been doing
Yeah.
this forever. But for some people, it's very normal. I think those of us who kind of came of age during the beauty guru era, it's very
Yes.
normal for you to have like 30 different kinds of makeup
Yep.
and you switch them out and use different ones all the time. Basically, the idea of Project Pan, it's a movement saying use what you already have, use one product until it is done before you replace it. So, as I'm doing my no buy month, I'm kind of focusing on, one of my rules is no personal care products unless absolutely necessary and then, use what you have. So, for example, let's say I ran out of shampoo this month.
Mhm.
I have other shampoo in this house somewhere.
Yep.
Like, even if it's a travel shampoo that's this big that I take on trips with me, I can use that up before I go buy another one. And of course, those of us who have like specific hair needs, whatever, I get that. But let's just reframe the way we think about this. Let's take a long, hard look at what we actually have in our house and say, hey, this needs to be used up. Maybe it's not my favorite product in the entire world, but like, it
Yeah.
works fine because let's be real, shampoo is shampoo, soap is soap. Like, we can use what we have and that will end up saving so much money, reducing so much waste. I'm so happy to see things like Project Pan going mainstream.
Me too.
I think it's very cool. So, highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah, and if this is something you're interested in starting, the best thing to do is to pull out every single personal care products that you have and put it on a surface like your bed or bathroom counter or kitchen counter
Yes.
and make an inventory of what you have. Sort it, organize it, go through it. If anything's too expired and you're not comfortable using it, then dispose of it properly. If you have new unopened products, consider donating them to women's shelters or to homeless shelters or putting them on your buy nothing group.
Or even just giving them to a friend. You can
Yeah, give them to
text your
friends.
girlfriends and say, "Hey, I have a shampoo, it didn't work for me. Does anyone want to try it?"
Mhm.
Um, because
Yeah.
that's
I never really had this problem though either too with like having a bunch of backstock until I became a content creator because I have so much PR and I'm constantly giving it away, but I still have so much.
right. I don't have as much anymore. I've kind of taken myself off of a lot of PR lists, but
I have
it's
too.
just part of the job. And I know it gives people the ick, but it is. Let's be so real.
Yeah.
So when you have products in your house, think about the people in your life that might want them. Like if I get sent curly
Mhm.
hair products, my girl with curly hair knows that she's the first call I'm going to make when I have too much of that. So just kind of being mindful of redirecting things because everything has a resource cost, right? So to
Mhm.
make a bottle of shampoo, a moisturizer, a serum for your skin, all of that has a resource cost. And it's important that we divert things to people where they're actually going to be used, right? So that we're not just wasting energy, money, labor, all of the above. So that was on my list, and that's a really important one. And I think that's just going to be like a lifelong thing for me. And we need to shift the way we view
Mhm.
it's kind of like the concept of shopping your own closet. If you take every single thing out of your closet, put it on your bed,
Yes.
try it all on. Yes, it seems overwhelming, but you will be amazed at how much stuff you discover. Oh, wow, I haven't worn this in a while. I really like this. And you kind of get that little dopamine high
Yep.
that you would get from shopping. So it's the same in your bathroom, right? You have
Mhm.
products that you maybe forgot about or you haven't used in a while, switch it up. And it's a nice feeling, and it costs you nothing, and it's the best.
I'm also doing Project Pan with my Vote with My Dollar challenge.
Love
And
it.
honestly, just like for the rest of my life.
Yeah, we also just kind of like live that way, but it's cool that it's kind of getting some traction outside of the ecosphere because that's kind of just a given for us,
Yeah.
but it's not for a lot of people.
I've seen a lot of videos of people that are just like showing their collections and being like, "Oh my god, I need to do Project
Yes.
Pan." And I'm like, "Yes, that's what it's for."
Yes.
Like just opening your eyes to the overconsumption problems,
Yeah. And
especially in the US.
you probably have everything you need. Let's be so for real. Just for your day to day life, you probably have everything that you need.
Yeah. And if you have products that you don't like you hate a moisturizer or something, our friend Sabrina Sustainable Life, just came out with a video sharing alternative uses for products that you don't like. So I have expired body spray and it's been sitting on my dresser because I didn't know what to do with it. And in her video, she said, turn it into room spray. So I was like, oh my God, that's genius. And I poured my body spray from Bath and Body Works from 15 years ago into my room spray bottle and I'm using it as room spray. So that production cost on the planet is not going to waste because that product's being used instead of just being dumped down the drain.
Right.
And then I can recycle the actual bottle.
And I've seen stuff like, okay, maybe a moisturizer, you don't like the fragrance on your face, use it on your body. Like
Yeah.
use it on your feet. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
there's a use for everything. You just got to get a little crafty with it, a little resourceful with it. I have a moisturizer that the fragrance kind of irritated my face cuz it's more sensitive skin, and I put it on my body now, and that's awesome. So, there you go.
Yeah, I have a moisturizer that is so thick when you lay it on and it just like leaves you feeling so greasy and oily. So, is what I've been doing is that I started using a serum that dries me out a lot at night. It's like a repairing serum.
Mhm.
So I put that on and then I use that super thick moisturizer because it makes my face not dry out overnight.
Mhm.
But then in the morning, I use my very light, very airy moisturizer that I actually really like. So, working products into your routine that works for you. So then you can use the products to their fullest extent. And then you'll also figure out which products you like and which products actually work for you so you'll know what to rebuy.
Yes. Right. That's a really good point. Also, since we're on this topic, because I don't know how to not go off on a tangent, as you're using things up with beauty products, I don't know how many people know about this. if you have an Ulta near you, Ulta has a recycling box in partnership with Pact Collective, which is a recycling collective.
Amazing.
You can bring in your beauty product and personal care product packaging that can't be curbside recycled. I keep a little bag in my bathroom on a shelf. As I empty things out, I just kind of rinse them and I throw them in this bag. And then one day when I do need something from Ulta, which eventually I will, after this month is over, it's okay to treat yourself to a little something new. It's fine. When I run out of like something that I use, I will go to Ulta and I will drop them all in that recycling bin. So, highly recommend doing that because that is the more responsible way to take care of that waste. And it's available for free, and a lot of people have an Ulta nearby. Also, you can check out Pact Collective. You can send them in an envelope as well. And I think they'll give you a free label. So there's lots of ways to do it, but they're little. Like this is so small, but like once I'm done with this lip balm, I'm going to go ahead and recycle the packaging appropriately. And this doesn't take up any room in my bathroom. I'll just put it in a little bag and, drop it off. So
And things like that are often, even if you have curbside recycling, things like that are so small that they jam recycling machines. So,
Pack Collective has a lot of resources online about what can and can't be recycled when it comes to packaging, like beauty packaging. So definitely check it out. I'm doing no home decor,
yep, me too.
which is not hard for me at all. No physical items. So, like, I don't need to buy anything. Let's say something were to break. Um, I could probably find a replacement for it, but I can also, go without. Like, if there's something really important, if it were to break, I would need it.
Mhm.
Obviously we can make exceptions, but I'm not trying to buy more
Yeah.
things. I live in 600 square feet. Even if you live in a big house, like you do not need more stuff. It just ends up causing anxiety, creating clutter. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like a hyper minimalist by any regard. I really do like the things that I like. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it's just about being mindful about the things that we bring into our space. So, no physical items. And for my no buy month, buying coffee out is one of my rules. I'm not buying coffee out, with one exception. My boyfriend's mom gave me some Starbucks gift cards for Christmas. She's a flight attendant, and so people give them to flight attendants, I guess. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, wow, I'm a terrible person. I've never given a flight attendant a gift card. But she had
I've
like
never done
10
that.
of them. People just give to her. So um,
Nice.
she gave them to me. And when I've been out and about needing coffee, even though I'm not a fan of Starbucks as a company, they've been an exception to my no buy because that's not real money.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and you should use it because then it's costing them money.
100. Oh, choosing violence. Yeah. So I've been using those throughout the month. I think I have one $5 one left.
Nice.
So not buying coffee out is one of my rules, and that one I think would be hard for a lot of people. It depends on your lifestyle. There's some people who never buy coffee out, and then I have some friends that like that is their weakness. I will say for me that is my like treat myself thing.
Mhm.
If I'm like having a day or I'm hanging out with a girlfriend and we're like, "Oh, what should we do?" It's like, "Let's go get an iced coffee." Um
Yeah.
and we're not doing that this month. So I've gotten really good at making coffee at home and it's delicious. Sometimes I'll even put it in a little to go cup and go for a walk. And if that makes me really extra, that's fine. I don't care.
I love it.
Yeah. So no unnecessary groceries, alcohol, pre-made sweets, just excessive things that I don't need. Like if I want sweets, I can
Yeah.
make my mug cake. I can make something at home. I have flour and yeast in this house. I have a bread machine, even if I'm feeling extra lazy. So there's no reason for me to
Mhm.
be buying a ton of like fancy baked goods and bread when I can just do it with no extra cost because I have those ingredients on hand. I don't always succeed at that. I do fail. But so as of recording this, I haven't slipped up on that except for one time at the farmer's market. I got some treats. It came out to $11 and I used some cash that I already had on hand. So it didn't actually
Oh,
take,
that's not bad at all then.
yeah, not bad. Also, thank you to my man for buying me food sometimes. Um, no hair, nail, or facial appointments. I already do not do this except I had some ClassPass credits I needed to use up. So I did go get a facial and it was free to me because the credits would have otherwise
Nice.
gone to waste. So, also no new gifts for others. I don't have a lot of friends with birthdays in January, but If they do, they're getting a homemade or an upcycled or a thrifted gift.
Which is great. I would love something like that instead of something random from Amazon.
100% always. And we could do an entire episode about that. And then if you're committing to doing a no buy, like we discussed earlier, you could do a no buy week, you could do a no buy month, you could do a no buy year. You don't have to be extreme. You could also do no buy days in the week. If you work a 9 to 5 and part of your favorite part of your day is going and getting lunch with your coworkers, then you don't have to give that up.
Mhm.
You could set aside a couple days a week when you bring your lunch. It's really just about being mindful and just reframing the constant swiping of credit cards. So, my personal exceptions were a handful of special events that I already committed to, but still on a budget. So, if there's an event happening, I want to go and it's like a show and I already committed to going and I want to have like one beer for the whole night and I want to buy that. That's like one of my personal exceptions. I had a couple dates this month like that.
Yeah.
Things absolutely needed for work, obviously, are an exception. And I think this goes without saying, but my number one question when I do a no buy, the question I get the most is, how are you going to eat? And I'm like, you guys, are you for real? Do you really think that I'm not going to eat? Do you really think that this doesn't include groceries and exceptions?
Yikes. I
Necessities.
wonder if that question is rooted in the fact that a lot of people actually eat takeout like all the time instead of
Yeah, a lot of people do.
like cooking at home. Like we are the opposite. We probably go out once or twice a month, maybe 3 or 4 times, but we're not excessive with eating out. We make all of our meals at home, but I know that there are people that buy lunch and dinner and utilize things like DoorDash. We don't.
Right. No, I don't order food in. I will say though, I think a big cultural difference is living in a city.
Yeah.
Like if you live in the burbs and you're not just
Yeah.
walking out your door and seeing a place where you can grab a sandwich. If you live in New York City and there's like cheap food that's available to you without having to cook, then
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more of a thing. Like that is a thing for me. I when I go out for the day, like there's tons of stuff just right outside my door that I could go do, but I don't do it that often. There's certain things wherein you are saving money.
Yeah.
Like on Fridays, Whole Foods has this deal for an $8 extra large pizza.
Nice.
Like if I were to make a pizza at home and get all those ingredients, it would cost me like five
Yeah.
times that much,
Yeah.
Um, so like in that case, yeah, that is literally saving money, like a giant pizza for $8. But yeah, on a case by case basis. But I do think a lot of people are ordering like Uber Eats, DoorDash every night.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like just the amount of spending. And of course, do you if that's what works for you. And you don't see any issue with it and you have the funds to do that. Like, okay, I guess you're not buying groceries then, so maybe it evens out, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So maybe that's what people mean when they're like, "Are you not eating?"
Yeah, that's wild.
"No, I'm cooking instead."
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm cooking. My ClassPass membership, I'm keeping. Obviously, I'm not getting rid of it because that's also like my activity that I'm doing now that I'm not like spending
Yeah.
money.
It's like health and
Yeah,
fitness.
100%. It's also like how I hang out with my friends a lot. So I'm keeping that. My co working space membership, that is like a business expense, but also there's coffee there. And sometimes that feels like going out for a little coffee, something like that, just like a little treat when I need a change of scenery. Pre-existing gift cards are allowed, so the Starbucks gift card.
Nice.
And then I preloaded a debit card with $100 for the month should anything unexpected come up. But my goal was to avoid using it, so I
Awesome.
actually haven't used it yet, and we're nearing the end of the month here. So,
That's great.
but I plan to use it next weekend. So, but that's okay because it's $100 that's been set aside, so it feels like not real money. Girl math.
And it's the end of the month when you're planning to use it, so I feel like that feels better at least.
I definitely won't be using the entire $100. So,
I mean, a lot of my rules are the same as yours for just under consuming, but my exceptions, I am doing gifts for birthdays and holidays. So that includes gift cards or actual physical gifts for people. And then I did already pre order 2 books that I'm going to buy new because one of the things on my list is no new books that I have to utilize my library and e borrowing services. But I did pre order 2 books, Onyx Storm, which I'm salty about, and Sunrise on the Reaping, the next Hunger Games book. So those are the 2 releases that I was most looking forward to that I want to read the day they come out.
mhm.
So those are on my exceptions list. And then if I have to replace something like I don't know, my toaster oven breaks, it has to be replaced with a high quality upgrade because I have learned firsthand over the last year, year and a half since I started actually spending money on nice things that you buy nice or you buy twice. That's exactly like what it is. For my toaster oven, for example, we moved in with one that my parents had bought us and it started on fire after about 2 years. So I did not want to use it again.
That's a big no for me.
Yeah, so it immediately went to be replaced, and then I was paranoid about buying one secondhand, and then that also starting on fire. So I bought a new one, a cheaper one because we didn't want to spend a lot of money. It was like 80 bucks and it lasted 9 months. It never quite worked right. I just had enough one day. So then I went and bought the Breville Smart Oven Air Fryer Pro, which was like $300 on sale, but it is the best kitchen gadget I have ever bought in my entire life. We use it several times a day, every day. It's basically like a mini countertop oven, but it also dehydrates and proofs bread.
Ooh,
It's like the most incredible thing. I will never cheap out on a toaster oven again. So that's kind of my mindset. I buy nice or I buy twice. So we just upgraded some of our stainless steel cookware to instead of like $15 pieces from Home Goods to the all clad sets. So hopefully they'll last us
that's
our
amazing.
lifetime.
So,
That's my last exception.
no, I love that exception. And also, for the record, buying nice can also be buying nice secondhand. Like you can buy
Yes.
like okay, so here's an example, a pickle I have found myself in. My spin studio where I take spin classes like 2 to 3 times a week, they have shoes that you can use, like the bike shoes they clip into the bike,
Mhm.
and I've just been using them for over a year that they come with the class.
Yeah.
And they recently changed it, which honestly, I get it. They changed it so in February it's going to start being $4 to
Oh,
rent
it's like
the shoes
Brennan.
every time, which I get. They're a business and they're a small business, and I want to support them.
Mm.
And so I'm going to need to buy some shoes. They're like $125, but I already found them online.
Oh, that's
They're in my
awesome.
cart on Poshmark secondhand. They were $45. I haven't bought them yet because I'm doing no buy January, but I'm hoping to get them here. So, but they're the same brand. They're nice shoes and they do the job,
Nice.
but they're secondhand. So that's a good example. And also, something that we both didn't mention, but we both very much advocate for is if you're going to spend money, you already know this, but please support a local business or a small business or an ethical business. Like if you are going to, let's say you want to stop going out for coffee, but that's not realistic for you. That's like your little treat and that's what you want to do. Keep doing it, but please go to like a small local coffee shop because that will make their day
Mhm.
as a business. It will make them happy. You'll have a connection with actual people versus some corporate
Yep.
machine. It also helps put money into your local economy versus giving a corporation like Starbucks even more money when they've completely cornered the market. They don't need another customer. But a local small business does need a new customer. They need as many as they can get. So,
And with small businesses, $10 means so much more to a small business than it does to somewhere like Target or Starbucks.
exactly. Exactly. And like another thing is although when it comes to groceries I have been on a pretty strict budget, so that
Mhm.
means that I tend to go more towards larger stores because they're cheaper. Moving into February, I really do intend to shop at a local small grocery store here. There's two that I like, and the grocery prices are maybe a little bit higher, but exactly what you just said, that, let's say I spend $50 on groceries, that $50 means more to a small local business than it ever will
Yeah.
to
Wegmans.
Whole Foods or, some massive company. Yeah. So I think that's something to keep in mind. If you do nothing more for your no buy, low buy, under consumption challenge for yourself, just switch what you're already doing to a more eco friendly or sustainable or local alternative. And that's pretty much the entire lifeblood of our content as it is, but it just goes without saying. So,
The last thing that I want to touch on, I think, before we start to wrap up, is how to prepare to do a challenge like this and how to actually execute it. So I think a lot of what we did is probably the same, but my list of what I did is I started to track all of my spending, and I started doing this in November, so I kind of knew where I was spending money, where my problems were, and how much I was spending with each business or corporation that I may have not aligned with. So you can find a ton of different templates for tracking spending. You could also track it on a piece of paper. I bought an Etsy template, and then I also modified like my business spreadsheet to be able to track it. So tracking and knowing where your money actually goes is super beneficial. And then the second one on my list is to unsubscribe from all emails. And
Oh my god, that is huge. I forgot.
my only exception with this is I did stay subscribed to emails that are from small businesses that I love, like Super Cubes. I stayed on their email list.
Right, that helps them.
Yes.
Yep.
So, unsubscribe from any of their emails, from Target, from Walmart, from your favorite clothing store. Just, like, get rid of that temptation from your emails. And this can take, like, a week to do, so every day go on, sit, and unsubscribe to whatever came into your inbox that day. And then the next day, you'll have other companies because a lot of people send stuff out once a month, once a week, once a day. So just go through and like take your time to do that. And going with that, delete shopping apps off of your phone.
Yes, that's huge because they will send you a notification like, "Oh, 50% off sale today,"
I
and
know.
that is like you're just torturing yourself. I also think, and some people aren't gonna like this, but just stop going into stores
Yeah.
that like I'm not going in to walk around Target right now.
Mhm.
Because why would I do that to myself? Because I'm not spending money and I'm not shopping apart from groceries. So I'm not going to go to Marshall's and just walk around
Yes.
because what stop doing that. If you're trying to reduce your consumption, I'm also not going on websites and just scrolling and like window shopping. So keep yourself out of situations where you think you're going to be spending a bunch of money. We're going to do an entire episode in the future on ways to have a good time and have fun and spend time with the people you love without spending a bunch of money, because I think that's something I was looking for as a resource and wasn't really able to find much on. So we're going to do an episode about that in the future, but just as a caveat to what we've already said, if you're going to implement some of these challenges into your life to reduce your consumption and spend less, whether it's for a week, a month, the entire year, it really helps to have people in your life that are, they don't have to be doing the exact same thing, but they get it and they don't kind of give you shit for it. So one of my best friends is doing the No by January with me as we speak. And it's been really fun because I hang out with her all the time and we've had to come up with creative ways to hang out without spending money. So, for example, the first week of January, we had amazing weather and we packed picnics together in little coolers from what we had at home. We did not go buy new things. And we put them in a little cooler. We met up at the state park with our bikes. It was $3 admission for each person. And we were in there for literally like 8 hours and just biking around, had a picnic, had the most beautiful day of all time.
That's
And it
amazing.
was just like perfect. And it was like the best day. And we spent $3 per person. So obviously, if you live in Buffalo, you're not doing a lot of that right now, but there's other things that can be done. You know what I mean? Like, and having good relationships is really wealth in this world, let's be honest. So, if you have friends in your life that you can hang out with to literally go to the grocery store or declutter your house while hanging with them, you've got it made. You've got a pretty good life.
Mhm.
So,
True.
it's also fun to gamify it, right? So we can be like, wow, I did this and I only spent $3 this week. And, it's very
Yeah.
fun. So if you have a friend that wants to do it with you or kind of also do a low buy, that's
Yeah.
really helpful.
And when it comes to like not doing random trips to Target or just like walking around and doing it, we recognize that things like food deserts exist. You may only have access to a Target.
100%.
So if you do, something that has really helped me, because there are some things that I've been trying to use Target instead of Amazon if I can't buy something from a small business. So I order for drive up.
Oh, I see.
I just get what I need, so I'm not walking into Target. I'm not
Right.
walking past their under $5 section and immediately wanting to buy everything. So I've been doing for pickup, or if you have to do like a lot of shopping, go in with a list and stick to the list.
That's a great piece of advice. That's a really good piece of advice because if you have an issue with impulse buying, first of all, this is not to guilt you because it is very very hard in this world where overconsumption and consumerism are so normalized. It's
It's the way our
extremely,
society is built.
yeah, it's not your fault. You're not stupid. You're not, this is how it is. And it's really hard to effectively move past that impulse and reframe the way you look at the world, because that's essentially what we're doing in a world
Mhm.
that's like buy, 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 consume, consume, consume. You're kind of reframing your entire brain in a way, if that is your source of dopamine, which for a lot of us it is. So go easy on yourself. And also, like, you don't have to throw everything away. It's the same thing when people are like on a diet and they're like, oh, I had a bad day, so I'll just quit. Like, you don't have to do that. If you're having a bad day and you slip up, just start again tomorrow. It's okay. So, yeah,
I love that. Start again tomorrow. Next on my prepare and execute list is decluttering your main spaces. And while you're doing that, inventorying all of your products. So then you know what you have, you know what you're using. And declutter is not just throwing things out. Add stuff to your buy nothing group, give it to family and friends. Just kind of do what you need to there. And if you need any motivation for decluttering, every year I run a decluttering challenge. And this year, we're getting rid of 2,025 items. It correlates with the year every year. I have a grid that you can download on my website. Once you sign up for my newsletter, it'll come to your inbox for free. Print it out, hang it on your fridge. And each box is a square, so you can color it in for stuff you get rid of.
talk about satisfying. Honestly, I genuinely think, I don't care if this makes me lame, there is no high quite like clearing out unnecessary stuff. It feels
Yes.
so good. I will never stop talking
Hmm.
about this, and neither will Maria. It is the best feeling to get, it feels like moving stagnant energy out of your mental space when you move it out of your physical space.
Yes.
So I just did a massive closet declutter and sold a bunch of my clothes. I'm going to give a portion of the proceeds to the California fires, and it feels really good to get that out of your house and to get it out of your space. And it feels like clearing your head almost as much as it is clearing your home.
And the less you have in your home, the less you have to clean, the less you have to dust around, the less you have to organize. And
Literally.
I'm not saying go completely minimalist and have nothing in your house. Neither Brennan nor I are minimalist. We're minimal-ish.
Minimalist
Um,
adjacent. I don't know.
so we're not preaching that you get rid of everything you own, but
Yeah, just having one
it does
spoon.
help. It does help when you have less stuff in your house and less clutter. It helps you mentally.
It's a great feeling. It is a great feeling. And I've spoken about this previously, but when all else fails, if you are a fashion girly or you really like clothes and you like shopping, this is my life hack for when I have hit rock bottom and I need a cheap dopamine hit that comes from a great secondhand find. And okay, judge me all you want. I don't care. This is something I do when I'm really feeling it. Like I'm like, oh, I kind of want to shop. I'm feeling the itch. I love
Yeah.
clothes, for those of you who are unaware, and I almost exclusively shop secondhand. So I will clean out my closet and try all that stuff on, and I'm having a great time. And I'm like, oh, wow, I rediscovered this. Get rid of those things, take them to a consignment store near me. I like Plato's Closet. There's lots of them. There's Buffalo Exchange, etc. If you have them in your area, local consignment, even better. I will take in a bag of clothes to them and see what I sell, and they will give me a credit if I sell stuff, and then I get clothes, essentially revamping my wardrobe for free. It is a life
I
hack,
love
and it
that.
is definitely a loophole. And I have already gone and taken clothes in, and I made, I think, $63 last week taking clothes in, and I didn't get anything new. So I just made $63. So, it's a fun way to kind of scratch that itch
That's
if
great.
all else fails. Obviously, we want to avoid, but at the end of the day, if you get one new thing and you get rid of 10, that's still a win in my book.
Mhm.
So,
I think that's definitely a win. Okay, and my last piece of advice to help prepare and execute a challenge like this is something that I implemented in December of last year and has been incredibly beneficial, and it's so easy. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I started on the app reminders for iPhones, and I made a wish list and a thrifting wish list physically written down. And whenever I see something that I want, I'm scrolling social media. Like one of my favorite creators, Mac, who does like macarons, She came out with a collaboration of a new apron for the kitchen that has macarons on it with Headley and Bennett. It's $130. I love it. I want it.
Oh.
But instead of just going and buying it, which is something I would have done last year, I put it on my wish list. And now I have this whole wish list on my phone that I can scroll through. And there are some things on here that I added in December or November that I really don't need, that I really don't want anymore.
After reflecting upon it, you realize, wow,
Yes.
that was a little impulse buy that I would have made.
Yes. And if I leave something in the shopping cart on the website, I feel like I almost justify buying it more because it's like, oh, it's on sale or like it's really not that bad. But then like seeing how much I have to scroll on this wish list, like how much stuff I wanted over the last 2 months is insane. So writing stuff down away from a shopping app is huge.
That's a really great tip. I think I saw the creator Jules Acree, who I have loved for very many years. She talked about shopping cart Fridays one time, and that concept is really cool to me. Essentially, if there's something that you want, put it in your shopping cart, leave the tab open. I heard that's not good for websites, but whatever. I'm sorry, you can't win them all. And then on Friday, revisit the things that you and see, do I actually want this, or was this an impulse thought on a Tuesday and now I see it and I'm like, I actually don't need this.
I love that.
Yeah, and you could do it once a month. You don't have to do it just, weekly, but I think it's a
Yeah.
really helpful concept.
Well, and I think that's a great way to start. Like, if you really need to help curb your consumerism, reevaluate once a week. And then maybe you'll start to pick up these thoughts of, I really don't need all of this. And then move it to once a month where you reevaluate your shopping carts.
Yes.
Baby steps. We're not looking for perfection on January 1st.
No, or ever.
True.
So I'm really excited to start this new year. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the world. We would be remiss if we did not mention the California fires disaster that's been happening. We wanted to keep this episode light because it's been a really tough month for a lot of people. But we are living in the climate crisis at this moment, and the last couple of months alone have been proof of that when it comes to natural disasters that have been taking place. We're going to make some resources available to you. We have a ton of friends and colleagues that live in LA that have been going through hell. It's very personal for us both because we have a personal connection to the climate movement and also just California as a whole, and specific people that have experienced immense loss. And it cannot be overstated that this is a result of the climate crisis. And this is going to continue to exacerbate if we do not have wide scale systemic change very soon. So, we're going to focus on things that we can do at the household level since the government has not exactly been popping off in that department lately, to put it lightly. We're here to share with you things that you can do, changes you can make to your everyday life to make change on whatever scale that may be.
There is not a lot of things that we can do across the country for California. Ree Lauren, who's one of our friends and content creators in the eco space, who's right in LA, is posting all the stuff that she's doing every day about going to cleanups and helping organize community supplies and community drives. And to some degree, it almost makes me feel a little helpless because there's not much that I can do aside from donating across the country. So, one of the ways that I have really tried to help, aside from donating financially, which not everybody I know can do, what I've been trying to do is focus on what I can control. And what I can control is my sustainable life and how I am trying to be sustainable and be better for the planet. So it's hard being across the country and not really being able to do anything, but living a slow life, focusing on my underconsumption is what I can control. And it does have an impact.
It does have an impact. Yeah. So if things are too heavy for you right now, take breaks. But in this episode, we are going to focus on things that we can change and little ways that we're impacting our lives to be better in that regard. And if you live in California, we love you. If there's anything that you need or any way we can help, feel free to reach out to either of us.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. We just gave you so much information in the first episode of the podcast.
We just covered every topic.
Thank you if you're still listening, if you're still here. We appreciate you.
And it feels good to be back. We love to yap, and that's what we just did, and that's what we will continue to do. Thank you to everyone who supported the last 2 seasons of this podcast. It's crazy. It's been a year since we started doing this. We
Wow.
feel so incredibly lucky to have this platform and to be able to chat about the things that matter to us. And it's just a great feeling. So much love to everybody who wants to listen to us yap.
So we'll see you back in 2 weeks. Thank you again to W&P, the episode sponsor, and all of that information, along with a lot of resources that we talked about, will be in the show notes for this episode.
And you don't need it, so don't buy it.
Okay, bye.
Love you. Bye. You know, want to improve your life or make, how do I say this? And I want to be specific in saying that this is not. What is wrong with me?
We're just getting back into it. You're good.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I feel very stupid.